I heard if you pinch your cheeks, you can make fake blush, and then you don't have to buy any.
Hello there. This is Drew here with my rosy little sister Ashley.
Hey.
Thank you for that beauty tip.
You're welcome. Anytime.
Yeah, I'm always trying to come up with natural ways to accentuate my cheekbones. You are listening to New Release, where we, Ashley?
Watch something each week, and then we tell everyone how special it is.
Where we make our favorite TV feel special. That is, yeah, basically what you said.
Yeah.
And that is the case this week. It's probably going to be the case for the next episode or two. But then I've got a little surprise in store for you and the lucky listeners / viewers.
I'm sweating. Great. Can't wait.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you get to sweat through the whole episode.
Perfect.
That's a little teaser.
I am wearing my sweatshirt, so that's fine.
Yeah, me too.
Nice.
As usual.
Yeah.
The only thing I have. This is episode 249. Wow, we're on the precipice of a milestone.
Oh, dang.
But yeah, I didn't even think about that.
That's maybe not the announcement?
Yeah. That'll maybe I should time that for the announcement. But anyway, prime or not prime?
Not prime.
Yeah. What led you to believe that?
Divisible by 3, I'm sure.
Yeah, there you go.
If I had to guess.
All right. Well, I don't have any cheers for you. Sorry.
Woo! Number 1.
Cheer for yourself.
Yeah. Eight.
In our mission to make our favorite TV shows feel special, because everyone, including Ashley, knows that's our mission here.
Yeah, clearly.
We have decided to move on temporarily, at least, from White Lotus.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk about it other than to say that you think the season is dragging a bit.
It's so slow.
We're 5 episodes in. We just had the full moon party, which I was really anticipating. This is me not talking about it.
And it was kind of lame. Also not talking about it.
And I think that means we have 3 or 4 episodes. I think it's 8 episodes. So
yeah, I think we only have 3 left.
Neither of us are out on the show. We're going to keep watching.
Yeah.
Or I assume. Yeah. So. Yeah. Unlike Severance, which you are out on, and the finale airs this week. So
okay.
By the time you're listening to this, it'll already be out. I'll have already watched it. I would like to do an episode on it, but frankly, I'm not sure if we will. So at a minimum, I'll give an update on a future episode.
What if you do an episode with a guest and I'll just sit and listen to what happens and you guys can tell me all about it?
That could be fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Because then I can ask questions and be like, oh, that makes sense. Or like, this movie or this show sucks.
So like a live audience of 1.
Yes.
And you can participate.
I'll raise my hand.
Yeah. You're going to go into a Q&A after the screening of something you didn't watch. Like you just show up for the Q&A.
Yes, exactly. Not annoying at all.
Yeah. Maybe we can test pilot that and see if it's something we should do on a regular basis.
A blind Q&A. Cool. I like it.
So all that's on the horizon, but much like this time of year last year, I want to say late winter, early spring, Baby Reindeer hit Netflix out of nowhere and became one of the biggest sensations of the year. I had a lot of issues with the show, or like my enjoyment of the show was strained.
Did you finish it?
I did not finish it.
I didn't either.
Yeah. So neither of us finished it, but it was one of the most popular shows on Netflix, a true indie success story in terms of, I think I'm mostly happy for the creator. I mean, like, I guess I have issues with the exploitative nature of his story, but it is a kind of like out of nowhere huge success story that only really Netflix can produce these days. Like global awareness, the biggest, simultaneous audience outside of just a Disney or Marvel movie hitting theaters.
Yeah.
It's a new Netflix movie or show, and it's rarely a movie.
Yeah, that's true.
Did you watch Electric State?
I haven't. I've read about it, and I'm like very hesitant to watch it.
Yeah, getting terrible reviews. Millie Bobby Brown,
Chris Pratt,
and Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
So and a huge budget, and the directors, the Russo bros, who made the last couple Avengers movies, and then they've made a bunch of junk ever since, pretty much.
Yeah, and isn't it based off like a really well-known like graphic novel? Isn't that what Electric State is from?
Yes. I swear we even did it for the podcast. There was this Amazon show, Tales from the Loop.
No.
Okay, well, we did do it.
I didn't do it. Not I.
Let me look up the creator's name.
Tales from the Loop.
Yeah. Developed and written by Nathan Halpern, based on the art book of the same name by Swedish artist Simon Stålenhag. So anyway, it's an adaptation of this Swedish graphic novel, and everyone hates it.
Oh no!
But on one part of the Netflix carousel is top 10 movies, Electric State. Below that is top 10 shows, Temptation Island. No, it's vacillating between. I saw something else like WWE Raw pop up.
Oh no!
Without further ado, the show we're talking about is Adolescence. It's a very serious show from what I've seen so far.
Yes.
So all jokes aside, there's going to be some heavy subject matter discussion here. Yeah. And I just wanted to have that set up because this is one of the fun parts of doing the podcast is I had White Lotus mapped out. I had Severance mapped out. I had the studio on Apple TV coming on my radar. I definitely didn't have Adolescence on my radar, and I don't think many people did.
Yeah.
Before we talk about it, have you heard any? Or is anyone in your life, watching it? Other people watching it?
We actually had friends over last night, and one of my friends finished it. So
yeah. Last question: is this based on any specific source material?
I don't know.
Okay. I've been desperately trying to avoid any spoilers or any discussion of this because there's only 4 episodes. I didn't want to know anything beyond what I've watched. So I didn't even want to look up I don't think it's based on a true story. It's based on a sad reality.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I just found. It's not based on a true story.
Okay, cool. That would be that would make it weird. That was what was complicated put nicely about Baby Reindeer.
Yeah.
Is what was true and what was not, inspired by real people. Mm-hmm. Okay, so are you ready to jump into Adolescence on Netflix?
Yes.
Police! What are you looking for? You're making a big mistake. He's only a kid.
Dad, I haven't done anything.
I put that circle frame on the...
Oh, nice. Looks good.
Yeah, it's a little creepy. It makes it look kind of like a scope.
Yeah,
But the show's a little creepy, and maybe a lot creepy. So, I'll say at the top, I'm going to be referencing the first episode and then 10 minutes into the second episode.
Okay.
You can tell me at any point if you watched beyond that, but I want to basically make this a discussion of the first episode and where we think it's going. I almost texted you and said, should we just wait and watch the whole thing?
The whole thing, yeah.
Which I guess tips my do we want more a little bit. But then I started watching, then as I was getting further into the first episode, I was I thought it'd be really interesting to talk about where we think it's going and what we think it's trying to uncover based on the first episode. So you'll have to be careful potentially, but I watched 10 minutes of the second episode just to make sure that it wasn't like an anthology and jumping to a new story because it's called Adolescence.
Right.
I was like, I need to just at least rule out that it's not 4 different stories with the same
That'd be
theme.
interesting.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it does have an interesting reshift of perspective in the second episode to ancillary characters. But episode 1 starts off with the clip we just saw, in case you're only listening. It's the, British police force raiding a family's home and taking a 13-year-old boy into custody.
Who is accused of murder.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. Just jump in. What was your reaction to the show?
It immediately made me just cry a lot. Like, immediately. I was just like, this is so stressful. And then I obviously thought of, like, my child. And I was just like, and I was just, I almost stopped watching it. Almost. I didn't.
Almost.
But I was just like, if I can make it through the scene, maybe it'll be okay. But I was, like, sobbing. So.
Yeah, right from the
jump.
When he's crying and he's wetting his pants. Like,
yeah.
We'll see later in the episode that he is a pretty stereotypical, or like an archetype of a 13-year-old that is a juvenile delinquent, or but our introduction to him is him cowering and turning back into innocent, defenseless child, seemingly. So obviously we are immediately kind of questioning whether or not he's guilty. And then you brought up the point of watching this as a parent.
Yeah.
I was questioning throughout watching this, like, who this is for and what the audience is. I don't think it's for 13-year-old boys.
No.
I think it's for parents or anyone with, that encounters 13-year-old boys.
Yeah, I was thinking about my friend who's a teacher in middle school. I was like, this seems like this who. So.
Yeah, and it's just like an examination. I'm guessing it's going to be an examination of the psychology and all the circumstances that could lead and again, we're spoiling the first episode. I was getting worried in the first, like, 15 or 20 minutes of watching this, that, like, wondering what type of show it was going to be. Is it, if it's a mystery show, then what, we're just going to, like, watch the police torture this kid so that we could find out that he was, if it's, like, presumed innocent and we're waiting for some twist. I don't know that I want to watch that show.
But no twist.
Yeah. But if it's
Maybe.
just an examination, like, we need to talk about Kevin.
Yeah.
Of, like, all the threads and all the different relationships, how these acts of violence by a completely kind of immature and unformed human being can ripple throughout the community and their family and ripple out from him. Then that's going to be super heavy. But an interesting subject, at least.
Yeah, very heavy.
So, I mean, what do you think the show's about, or like what type of show is it? It's not a true crime show where we're gonna uncover mysteries, right?
No, I think it's just like looking into the psychology of, like, why he maybe did it.
And what evidence? I mean, by the time we're in the interrogation room, do you want to describe, like, I feel like that scene was one of the most.
Oh my gosh.
Gripping.
So right before, I'll just preface with, right before they go into the interrogation room, it's just him and his dad sitting in a room. It's just them two, and his dad's like, "Did you do it?" Basically, you can tell me, like, just let me know, like, did you do it? I have your back, like, blah blah blah.
We've all been there. I mean, not being asked for the same reasons, but, like, as kids, you get cornered by your parents.
Oh yeah.
And you have a fork in the road moment. I can actually tell the truth here, or I can just double down on my lie. In this case, beyond anything most people have experienced.
Yeah. So he's like, "No, I didn't do it." And he's like, "Okay, good, all right." And then they go into the interrogation room, and then they show him in CCTV footage stabbing the girl repeatedly.
Yeah.
So
they
they
really slow play the evidence.
Yeah. They're like, "We have your shoes. Are these your trainers?" You're like, "Yeah, those could be mine." Blah blah blah. And then it just kind of goes into like, "Well, we have footage. We have you following her. We'll show you all, like, where you were." And then they have an actual video of the incident. So, like,
Yeah, this is where it clicked in for me that, okay, this is a show about procedure, and then this is a show about the effects of the act, not a
Did he do it or
mystery
not? Yeah.
of whether he did it.
And you always want them to be innocent. So you're like, I'm watching it the whole time being like, oh, like, of course he didn't do it. Like, you got the wrong person. Maybe his friend did it. Maybe they switched shoes. Like, there's so many things. Then you're like, oh, well, there's the video. So.
Exactly. And I mean, so what was your reaction to that revelation in the sense that are you still questioning what other people's involved? Because we know his friends, like, maybe knew more than they're letting on. They mentioned, like, did they ask about the knife? Mm-hmm. Like, are you waiting for any other, so to speak, shoes to drop? Or do you think this is just going to be a examination of the psychology of it?
I'm waiting for a little bit more information with his friends to see, like, what they knew or if they had, like, assisted in some way. I mean, obviously he's doing it by himself in the video, but kind of want to know, like, what more they had, what more knowledge they had.
Did they take the knife?
Yeah, like, did they help him hide it?
They can't find the knife.
Right. Like, stuff like that.
They don't have motive.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to know, like, the motive and other things, but it's interesting that at the start of the first episode they show him doing it, and then you're like, oh, like, this is different than any show I've watched.
Exactly. And so what was your reaction to kind of recalibrating what type of show it was? Is that exciting to watch, or would you rather watch more of a traditional true crime narrative?
I thought it was interesting, but I like the traditional route because now I'm interested in the psychology, but I know he did it, and so I'm just curious to see where the show goes. Like, I'm still interested in it, but I kind of wanted to wait till the last episode to be like, did he or did he not? I like that whole reveal. So
I think this is the more challenging approach.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's only 4 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
If I knew it was 10, I might just be out.
Yeah.
Because of how challenging the subject matter is going to be. Like, I was really curious to see how they were going to approach the second episode. So that's why I started it, and it takes a little time jump, a couple days maybe, because the first episode is pretty much in real-ish time. Like, we go from him getting arrested. We learn that, like, by the time his lawyer shows up,
it's like 25 minutes or something crazy.
Yeah, and but like it's 6:30 in the morning or 7. It's like it's still first thing in the morning. And we are introduced to all these other characters. And like I said, I think I can handle a 4-episode examination of what, potentially what contributes or what is part of the orbit of his psychology that leads to this, this act. And if not that, then the impact and kind of the all the people and lives in his orbit. I mean, like, it's just like going to be a really unsettling experience to live in, but like for people that are just parents and haven't experienced anything remotely like this, but people that know people that have experienced acts of violence from young kids. And then, because I also am glad it's not like he didn't go on a shooting spree. Mm-hmm. Because I was a little bit questioning the level of response to a single homicide. But I think because of the aggravated nature of the very violent nature of it, and they followed protocol, and so this is. It would probably be too upsetting to sit in the aftermath of a mass shooting. Mm-hmm. I don't really know that it's much better to sit in the aftermath of.
I honestly don't
one.
know. I don't know if like a single instance is harder or like a I don't know. I mean, either way, this show is very tough to watch.
Yeah, and it's not. I don't know why I'm gonna keep comparing it to Baby Reindeer, mostly just because of the timing and that kind of surprised everyone when it came out, but that was playing for entertainment value, for laughs. Obviously, this guy had some really traumatic things happen to him, and he was working through it, so that's one way to work through it. In this case, it does feel more sensitive and seriously taken.
Yeah.
I mean, that was sensitive and serious, but he's
Different
a comedian.
levels.
He's a prop comedian. Yeah.
Yeah.
So by nature, the show had to have mix in dark comedy as well.
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't have to mix in any other tones.
No,
It's
just
one
dark.
tone, and it makes you just sit with every scene.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of the filmmaking?
So at one point, the way they follow people
Yeah.
kind of like made me a little like, ugh. Like it was almost made me not nauseous, but kind of like a little movement sensitive. Because they kept on being like, okay, this person's going this way, let's follow the camera this way. Then we're picking up this person, go this way. So you can feel like the stress of oh my gosh, the police headquarters. You feel like
Yep.
the stress behind everyone, like trying to get things done. And it's like also quick, but it kind of like the way the camera moved made me a little bit feeling unsettled, but also a little nauseous in general.
Yeah, and it's basically long one shot after one shot.
Yeah.
So it's not like the whole episode is a oneer, but
Right.
there's a series of a dozen or more of them, and each scene is choreographed in a clever. If there's movement involved, it's choreographed in the way that you were describing. If it's just sitting in a room, I don't know. I'd have to rewatch like the interview scene
Yeah.
to see how many times they cut back and forth. But I feel like we're mostly seeing the same angle for the majority of it, and there's so much procedure too. So it's like this is just ultra realism in a way that you don't get with ironically with like true crime or something. Like the filmmaking is trying to it's a little showy in the way that you're describing with like
Yeah.
the synchronized movements, but it's not flashy in any other way. And the action that's happening is really, I mean, there was the raid at the beginning,
Yeah.
but then after that, I noted that they like show all 10 of his fingers being printed.
Yeah, I know.
I was like, okay,
They're, all right, now right hand, and I was like, oh, they're going through the whole thing, like very like methodically, which is, I mean, it's different.
yeah, and then and then we learn things or we see things that we would have had no
Yeah.
reason to have seen before. One, like how the public defender comes in and their version of a public defender. What did you think of that character?
I liked him.
Yeah.
I thought he was just trying. I mean, I know they made a comment of like, oh, like you're like kind of excited to be here or something like that comment. But I think he was just trying to do his job, and I think he's like trying to see what's like in best interest for the kid and the family. And I don't know. I thought his character was really good.
Yeah, I like how balanced or like seemingly fairly everyone is portrayed. The family is obviously upset and lashing out
Yeah.
to an understandable degree at the cops, but like the mother says that you threw us on the floor, and the
Yeah.
cop, the arresting, the main
he was
leader
really good.
of the yeah. So there's what's his character's name? You can look it up.
I was like Bradford or something, but that's not right.
Yeah, so we get some banter between the police sergeant and the police lieutenant early on, which I thought was nice, like just humanization. And then we see him like very calmly deal with the family, but not like overly placate them. He's like, nope, that's not what we did. We followed protocol. We asked you to get on the floor.
And even the
We did
daughter
this."
was like, yeah, you guys, they didn't do that. So,
Yeah. And then I think the one shoe that I'm waiting to drop is the impact or the accountability in any way that the dad is going to feel, fairly or notly, about how he raised his son, anything he knew about his son that he was ignoring. Maybe he's just absent because he works nights, we learn. And his dad is in the room for every scene. And what I meant to bring up was we see that he has to be like strip searched, and we just see these different like things that happen after someone is arrested.
And the detective, his name's Luke Bascom, and his real name's Ashley.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So we're not like, that was going to be the other problem is like, if we find out that the kid's innocent, then and this detective just really fucked up, like, who are we rooting for? But in this case, they didn't jump to any conclusions. They didn't take any shortcuts. This is in no way presumed innocent on Apple, where everyone's tampering with everything.
Everything, yeah.
Yeah, and we're gonna get some gimmicky twist at the end.
Double twist.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I thought this isn't a show I would have watched if I hadn't just kind of wanted to understand why it was such a breakout, hit overnight.
And I was nervous to watch it in general. And then you're like, we should watch it for the podcast. I was like, all right.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You you had heard of it.
Yeah. Yep.
And how often does that even happen?
Right. That's true.
Like, I mean, it happens, but like everything is so fragmented that for a show to even come out that we're both like, that we didn't know about 2 weeks ago.
Right.
And then we both know about is an unusual occurrance.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
So yeah, I didn't really have to twist your arm, but I totally understand if, you wanted to stop watching or if anyone wants to stop watching. So with that said, how much have you watched?
I've watched 3 episodes.
Okay. I kind of figured. You hadn't told me anything, but I kind of figured. Yeah.
Well, and I wanted to watch the 4th, but I didn't have time before our podcast. So, because I just wanted to finish, but I'm not really excited about it, like finishing it. I want to. Is that weird? I don't know.
Well, I just don't think it's that type of show. I mean, it's not. Again, 4 episodes seems like the max that I would commit to this tone for.
Yeah.
And I mean, a movie is a reasonable amount of time, but the first episode was an hour.
They're all like an hour. Yeah.
Yeah. So a very long movie, brutalist level.
Yeah.
And that's an okay amount of time to show a fuller picture of everything I was describing. But I don't think there's going to be some big cathartic moment at the end. No.
And I do have to say, and this is really, the 3rd episode is, can I tell you, I'm not going to tell you like what happens or whatever, but it's basically like the kid and a therapist talking.
Okay.
For almost the entire episode. And it's really good, and the acting is incredible, but it's just like you're with them. Like that's just so. 2nd episode though, all over the school, which is interesting.
Yeah. Like I said, I started it just to make sure I wasn't like completely wrong about what the show was. And so their investigation continues, and then since you already know, I won't put you in the awkward position of watching me. There's no need to make predictions. Like, it's we're going to learn more about the psychology of what leads a person to do something like this, and the impact that it has on everyone around them, and the trauma and we don't get too much of this in the first episode, but it's not fun to be in the position of the cops.
No, I wouldn't that's like I'm thinking of it. Even like the psychologist in the 3rd episode, I was like, man, like I could not do this job. Because I wanted to be a criminal psychologist at one point. I was watching this, I was like, I would just lose my mind. I would cry. I would not be able to handle it. I wouldn't be able to handle it.
Right.
And then you take it home with you. You think about it constantly. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and Bradford, is that what you said his name was?
Bascom. I think I said Brad for the first time, but no, it's Bascom. Okay,
and Bascom has a kid in the school who is bullied and, also a normal sort of wants a normal amount of space from his dad, and his dad has to come into the school and interrogate students. And
his dad didn't even have to go into the school; he could have sent someone else, which made me feel like
that was a bit of an ego blow when the first student that they interrogate, a good friend of the girl that was killed, just lashes out at them and is angry and calls him out on kind of his relationship with his son and, and everything else, and that's just sort of up until that point, we've seen him in complete control of every situation. And when something like this happens, nobody is in control, especially the I was going to say the victim. The victim's dead.
Not in control at all.
Especially even the perpetrator.
Yeah.
Like, he's a 13-year-old.
And he keeps wanting to go home, and he's like, why am I still here? Like, it's pretty...
Yeah. I mean, it sucks to do something at 13 that is going to ruin or end other people's lives and rightfully impact your life for forever as well. You know, that nothing you do at that age should be irreversible, and yet some things are. So heavy stuff.
Very heavy.
Obviously you're going to finish it. I am going to keep watching as well. And I think we should do a follow-up like early. I mean, soon-ish, early next week.
Okay.
If you're still...
After the Severance episode?
Yeah. I'm actually going to watch that tonight, I think.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But, yeah, I think we should close the loop on this. And I am curious to see how I feel at the end. Like I said, I'm not looking for resolution or revelation. I'm just curious what impact it's going to have. And I'm curious to talk to some other people. We both know people that have watched it. We should ask them. Like, it's just weird when something like this serious and heavy becomes number one on Netflix. Like, what does that mean? Like, I get why scandalous true crime shows pop up.
But this is very different.
Yeah, so like, did this kind of incredible filmmaking, incredible acting, incredibly like a hook at the start, but once you realize that hook isn't the point.
And maybe it's only number one. People only watch the first episode.
Well, yeah, but we both know anecdotally that people are sticking with it, maybe just because it's such a well done, just such a well made piece of art. I don't know what to call it. All right. Well, I guess that's it. Oh, except for the
exciting
big announcement.
I'm still sweating from it. What is it?
It's a little series I like to call Film 2000.
Okay. Okay.
As you might be able to guess from the name, it's films from the year 2000.
Perfect.
I'm gonna pick 25 of them.
Okay.
For us to discuss in some amount of some level of detail. So it's the 25th anniversary. If you can put these pieces together.
Yep, got it. I'm 25.
And for us,
got it.
Yeah, this is obviously a callback to the origins of New Release, where we spent significant amount of time in 84, 1990, 1999 maybe, and then jumped around a bit. But what we kept coming back to, and what I've come back to, is that the early aughts, obviously the Y2K stuff and millennial stuff is kind of like trendy right now.
Yeah.
So maybe that's good for us. But personally, I was a junior in high school and you were a freshman, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was not super into movies, but everything I was starting to watch at that point was really formative. And I feel like in a lot of ways it's peak nostalgia for me.
That makes sense in high school.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I watched American Psycho in theaters a week or two ago.
You did?
Yeah, that's what got me. That's what got me thinking about this. I was like, oh, it's the 25th anniversary.
One of my favorite movies.
Yeah. So that should be that's definitely going to be on the list. I'll just have to figure out the right timing for it. But I do have the first episode figured out.
Okay.
And those probably aren't the movies that you would pick. So
great, perfect. But have I seen them?
Nope. Well, that's a good question. Maybe we're not going to be doing every week, but whatever schedule we're on, we're going to do 25 films from the year 2000.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, temper your excitement.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's just a lot of like rom-coms and stuff that I'm excited to watch, but they're probably not on your list. So
we're going back to high school.
The Faculty, perfect.
Yeah. I don't
Great.
know if that's 2000. Is it?
I don't know.
I think it's 99.
You think it? Oh, it is 98 actually.
Ah,
Dang.
yeah.
Okay, whatever.
But close in the ballpark. Plenty of movies in that same vein. So,
Okay, sweet.
if you want to follow along on our reinvigorated time travel adventures to the year 2000, and also hear us talk about the conclusion of Adolescence, then subscribe to the podcast by searching New Release. Maybe at some point, Film 2000. Maybe New Release Radio on YouTube. Good luck. And Instagram, I'm getting a little lazy, but we're on there too. I will definitely be posting the cool art that I made for Film 2000.
Perfect.
Ashley?
That's a heavy wrap.